dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Close, so close. Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to welcome all of you here today to Temple Beth-El for this very special day on which Maxine Leave becomes, you know what, whatever you have on your speech, you know, whatever you have there is fine, Maxine. Last edits. Edit, you know, the granddaughter of a rabbi who continues to write edits before, right until the very last minute. Now, yesterday, when Estelle was, or 2 days ago when Estelle was in the kitchen busily making dinner for 34 people or so, she had this T-shirt that said, like, the Rabbi David Lee B'nai Mitzvah count, was it 534? Something like that? Something like that. So now she said, are you anywhere close to that? I said, absolutely not, because it would take 34 years and lots of folks, but to be here, to be able to celebrate Maxine becoming Bat Mitzvah for my last Shabbat service here at Temple Beth-El is a real extraordinary blessing, and makes a full circle for my tenure here and for the future generation of leaders here at Temple Beth-El. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our service here at Temple Beth-El, or Jewish worship in general, our service will be led out of the blue prayer book in front of you called Mishkan Tefillah. And throughout the service, either I or Maxine will tell you exactly where we are, so please feel free to be full participants. Feel free to let your eyes wander around the prayer book and find whatever meaning you can, but simply be here to celebrate and enjoy this moment. Special mazel tov to you, Maxine, to your parents, Jacob and Julie, Grandma Estelle, friends, family from near and far. It's great to be here today. So, Maxine, now you got to talk to Grandma. Okay? You done? You good? Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm going to go edit that while can I take a look at what you wrote? So, one of the very first ritual acts that a bat mitzvah takes upon herself is the donning of a talit, the prayer shawl. I'd like to invite Grandma Estelle to come up and present Maxine with her talit. The microphone? Yes, you can.
Maxine, I've been thinking for months about what I was going to say to you this morning. First of all, I'm delighted with the young lady that you have become, and I envy your artistic talent, and you're bright and intelligent and talented and a joy to watch, and I look forward to many years and seeing where your journey will take you. It's my pleasure to give you this talit, which you may remember has sort of a stylized Miriam and her tambourines on it. Coincidentally, my Hebrew name is Miriam. And when your papa and I were preparing to retire from here, the sisterhood gave me a lovely garden tea party. And I was totally surprised when your mommy asked if she could bring you. You weren't even a month old yet, but you were there. And there's lots of pictures to prove that you were there. And at that party, the sisterhood presented me with a tambourine. So from my tambourine from this sisterhood, from me to you, I would give you this talit with Miriam and her tambourines, and I think that makes an extra special connection between the two of us.
Amen.
I also had one other thing I wanted to say, I almost forgot, that if there are buttons where your papa is, his are all popping off today, because he would be so excited and thrilled to see you become a bat mitzvah.
Very much good. Second. We continue with our service on page 192. Page 192. As we thank God for the great opportunity to come into this beautiful sanctuary and to celebrate together. Ma tovu.
Ma tovu alecha Yaakov, o alecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu o alecha Yaakov, o alecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Vani ברוב חסדך אבוא ביתך אשתחווה אליך לקודשך ביראתך מה טובו אוהליך יעקב אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל מה טובו אוהליך יעקב אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל.
Every day when we wake up, we thank God for restoring to us our bodies, our souls, and our minds. We share some of these morning blessings together. The top of page 195. Let's join together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware. We would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot. On the next page, a blessing for our souls, Elohai Neshama.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorai. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorai. Ata verata, ata yetzarta, ata nefachta bi, ve'ata meshamra bekirbi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorai.
We continue with the miracles of every day, beginning on page 198. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps. Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who made me in the image of God. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah.
So my pleasure to invite Maxine's uncle and aunt, David Desmond and Cecile Desmond, to come up and share a couple of readings. This one and then that one. Oh, wait, yeah. This one and this one?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
On is it the
206.
same page?
Yeah, 206.
On page 206?
Yeah.
These are the things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
Page 208?
209.
Oh, I'm sorry, 209. For our teachers and their students and the students of the students, we ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say Amen. And for those who study Torah here and everywhere, may they be blessed with all they need, and let us say Amen. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say Amen.
We continue on page 215 with Ashrei.
Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehallelu chasela. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehallelu chasela. Ashrei, Ashrei, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Ashrei, Ashrei, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Happy are those who dwell in your house. They will sing your praises forever. Happy are those who dwell in your house. They will sing your praises forever. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehallelu chasela. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od והללוכה סלע.
We continue on page 218. Kol haneshama tehalel Yah. Let all that breathes praise God. Hallelujah. Last two lines in Hebrew.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallel Yah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallel Yah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. נשמת כל חי תברך את שמך אדוני אלוהינו וכל מזון.
Chatzi Kaddish is on page 224.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רמה ועלמא תברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב במהרו אמן. יהי שמרה במבורך לעולם עולם מעל מיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושיעתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלה ומרו אמן. Yay la 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 la. Yay la 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 la. Yay la 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 la. Yay la 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 la. Adonai המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך המבורך לעולם ועד המבורך המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
We continue with the blessing from Morning Light on page 228. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvarei choshech oseh shalom uvarei et hakol hameir la'aretz veladarim alecha berahamim uvtuvo mechadesh bekol yom tamid ma'aseh vreshit ma'rabu ma'asecha Adonai
kulam b'chokhma asita
mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha.
Adonai Eloheinu asher ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha sela or chadash al Zion ta'ir v'nizkeh kulanu me'era le'oro.
Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot. We are in the middle of page 231. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light blinded we saw that inner and outer worlds are one, as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us. As we climbed, we fell back and climbed again, your signing of life. We join with Cantor on the previous page.
והערננו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. ואבינו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קומיות לארצנו, כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובאנו ואכלת וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת, להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. We are on page 234. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem. Amen. We continue at the middle of page 239. The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is no one else. May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Let nation not lift sword against nation, nor war anymore. You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart. The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asks God. We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy. Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God and deserving of blessing.
Ya bye bye bim bim bye, ya bye bye bim bam, ya bye bye bim bim bye, ya bye bye bim bam. Ay ay da 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 da, ya ba bye bim bam. Ay ay da 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 da, ya ba bye bim bam. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh. Torah tehilot osef ele, Torah tehilot osef ele. Ya bye bim bim bye, ya bye bim bam. Ya bye bim bim bye, ya bye bim bam. Ay ay da da da, ya bye bim bam. Ay ay da da, ya bye bim bam. שירה חדשה, שבחו גאולים, לשמחה שפת הים. יחד כולם עוד והמליכו, ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, עובדך נומך יהודה וישראל. כה עלינו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל.
We continue with tefillah on page 242.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. ברוך
You are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the door frame, I begin to enter into your glory. You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold that I may abide with you. In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder. Sit with me, eternal teacher. Encourage my seeking. As I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled. Send me through your door, stretching upon to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself in the given.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם מקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני מקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ורחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גון לך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גון לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך, קדושתך נקדיש, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך, קדושתך נקדיש, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גון לך, לדור ודור נגיד גון לך, ושבחך אלוהינו מבין לא ימוש, לעולם לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue with our silent prayer through page 261, or with the words of our hearts. Please be seated.
רצון אמרי פי, יחיל רצון אמרי פי, וגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, ve'imeru, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. One of the best parts of my work as a rabbi is studying Torah with bright students like Maxine. For the last several weeks, in person and on FaceTime, Maxine and I have explored lessons from the Torah portion that she will chant shortly, and we have applied its 2,500-year-old wisdom to help make better sense of issues that we face in our world today. And Maxine and I discussed other things as well, and as is our custom here at Temple Bethel, I invited her to ask me any question about Judaism that she wanted me to begin to answer today. So Maxine wants to know, the question was this too broad or not? You'll tell me, Maxine. Maxine wants to know, what makes Judaism so different from other religions? And an answer in 3 to 5 minutes. Now, Maxine, the easiest thing I could have done was simply to give you a copy of your papa's book on comparative religion. However, it's packed. But luckily, I can answer this question too without having to rely on that wonderful resource. Now, Maxine, before I share some characteristics of Judaism that make it different from other religions, let me first share what Judaism shares in common with other religions. Most religions use sacred texts to teach lessons on how to live a just, moral, and God-centered life. Judaism is guided by the Torah, Christianity by the New Testament, and Islam by the Quran. In addition to core texts, all religions have enduring traditions and unique values that help guide relationships between people and a relationship between a person and God. And Maxine, I believe that all religions are intended to be a force for good, even though some individual interpreters of religion don't always focus on the good. Yet when we look for the common guidance that our respective traditions teach us, we recognize that many have their version of Rabbi Hillel's famous dictum, and he said it first, by the way, in this form: "Do not do unto others as you would not want them to do unto you," which many people also know as the Golden Rule. Now, even though other traditions say it slightly differently, the intention of that statement remains the same. Now, Maxine, you ask, what makes Judaism different and perhaps unique or distinct from other faith traditions? And here are a few examples that I'd like to share. Well, first of all, Judaism is not just a religion. It's also a culture and a heritage. That's why you will meet many proud. And for example, our connection to Jewish peoplehood has many of us respond to the question, what are you? With a simple answer, Jewish. Now, although Jews trace our roots to Eastern Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, we rarely claim lineage as a Pole, a German, or a Moroccan. In many cases, we see being Jewish as part of our hyphenated national identity, like being a Jewish American. So even though my grandparents and great-grandparents came from Lithuania, Russia, and Germany, I don't view my cultural heritage through a German or Russian lens. Instead, my heritage comes from the Jewish culture passed from one generation to the next. Now, I don't think that other religious traditions include a strong national identity embedded into the religious culture the way that Judaism does. Irish Catholics, for example, are proud to be Catholic and Irish, but there is a distinction between the two facets of these identities. So, Maxine, another characteristic that makes Judaism different from other religions is that our most elevated leaders like Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, all of whom play a prominent role in the Torah portion for the Shabbat, all of them are distinctly human with flaws, fears, and frailties. We see a very human Moses in Parshat Chukat, when he loses his patience, acts out with violence, and suffers a terrible consequence. A godlike human figure wouldn't endure the same treatment as Moses does. Most other religious traditions deify their leaders, making them godlike. Jesus and Muhammad, for example. Judaism teaches that there is only one God, who has no shape and form, and that leaders like Moses are simply God's human emissary on earth, even with their imperfections. What else makes Judaism different? It's rooted in halakha, Jewish law. Our legal system derives from the Torah and its 613 mitzvot, our sacred obligations, our relationships with God, our relationships to one another. Over the course of a few thousand years, these original laws have been interpreted, refined, and expanded by generations of rabbis and scholars. That is why we have these massive collections like the Talmud and various codes of law to help guide us. Each one represents a continuing evolution of Jewish law within its relationship with the Jewish people. Very few laws from the Torah are applied in the exact manner in which they were written. We've left it to rabbinic sages to interpret them for us and make them relevant and meaningful in our own day. And something else that makes Judaism different, Maxine? I think you'll like this one. Dissenting voices are heard. Dissenting voices are heard. Because while prevailing opinions are recorded, the pages of our sacred texts allow voices of dissent to be heard as well. And their dissent is even inked into the pages of the Talmud and our codes. You see, most religions tend to be limited to one voice, but in Jewish tradition, if you look at a page of traditional Torah commentary, you're going to see so many different voices sharing their opinion on that page. And oftentimes they are arguing with each other over the course of centuries. Now, Maxine, I could go on, because indeed Judaism is different in many ways. Most of my students who have converted with me have been drawn to Judaism because they appreciate Judaism's focus on asking questions and challenging previously held assumptions. We poke, prod, uncover, investigate, challenge, and question incessantly. But we do so with a firm and profound respect for our tradition, for our ancient and enduring tradition that has been around for more than 5,000 years. So clearly, Maxine, Judaism has something valuable to offer. Otherwise, it would have disappeared a long time ago. Our numbers have always been small. However, our influence has been great. So I hope, Maxine, that you will continue to find the unique facets of Judaism to be a source of joy and inspiration. I hope you will continue to probe for greater meaning, knowing that there is always a place for asking tough questions and challenging long-held assumptions. Judaism offers this and much more, and is what makes it different, in my opinion, from other religions. Shabbat Shalom. In just a few moments, Maxine will be called to Torah and will become bat mitzvah, a daughter of the commandments, an adult in our community, in a very formal way when she chants the blessing for Torah and adds her link to this very long and sacred chain. Now, when we open the Ark, you're going to see 4 Torah scrolls inside, and each Torah scroll contains the same exact words. It's the first 5 books of Moses: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. However, the scroll from which Maxine will chant this morning is one that has a very special and long history at this congregation and before. You see, it's a Torah scroll that was rescued from the embers of the Holocaust after World War II. For many years, this Torah scroll was taken out in synagogues on Shabbat morning in the town of České Budějovice, a small town in the former Czech Republic. And she came to discover a few years there men and women sat together. It was maybe more a little bit like our synagogue. Now, České Budějovice had a long and thriving history and a big Jewish community. However, during World War II, when Hitler and the Nazis plundered Europe and sought to eradicate and exterminate the entire worldwide Jewish population, they would oftentimes go into towns and villages like České Budějovice. They would round up the Jews and send them to concentration camps. They would destroy the buildings and businesses, and oftentimes they would try to take the sacred objects out and ferry them out of the town. Now, in the Czech Republic, there was word that this is what the Nazis were doing, so over the course of some time, in many of the towns and villages, Torah scrolls from these communities were taken and gathered, and they were brought first to the Prague synagogue in Prague, the great synagogue in Prague, where they were held throughout the course of the war and somehow managed to survive. And then after World War II, these Torah scrolls, this one and about 1,500 others, made its way to the Westminster Synagogue in London, where they basically were held in a basement for a number of years. After World War II and after a number of years, when it was discovered that these Torah scrolls were just kind of being held and nothing was happening, a trust was founded, and the goal was to take all of these surviving scrolls from the Holocaust and to lend them on permanent loan to synagogues all throughout North America and the world. In some synagogues you might go to, you might see one of these scrolls in a display case in the lobby or the foyer of a synagogue, maybe around some sort of Holocaust memorial. Our Torah scroll is one that is very special because it is one from which we can still read and chant. It's still in good enough condition that we can still use it. And because of this long history, and because of its enduring history and its ability that we can read from it, we only use it really on 2 or 3 special occasions. One is when someone becomes bar bat mitzvah, and I'm pretty sure, Maxine, that your father, your aunt, and uncle all chanted from this Torah scroll many, many, many years ago when they became B'nai Mitzvah. This is a Torah scroll I know that your papa helped to bring here to Temple Bethel so that we could read from it and honor all of our B'nai Mitzvah. It's a Torah scroll from which he also became confirmed a few years later, and it's a Torah scroll that your papa passed from one generation to the next, and one that you will chant from in just a few minutes. And every time that we chant from this Torah scroll, we're reminded that despite Hitler's determination to rid the world of Jews, and despite the horrific violence and death and destruction that he brought upon the Jewish community in particular and the world in general, that we are still here, more than 75 years later, still celebrating another young person becoming bat mitzvah, celebrating our Jewish heritage, and reminding us and the world that Am Yisrael Chai, that the Jewish people still live. So Maxine, as you prepare to take this Torah in your arms that will be passed from your parents to you, I invite you to come up first and to share your bat mitzvah pledge.
I am about to receive the gift of Torah and share in the sacred responsibility of teaching Torah to others. I am able to do this because I have studied and because I have made a commitment to the value of learning. In order for me to grow as a Jew and share with others the blessings I have received, I accept the responsibility to continue with my Jewish education through confirmation and perhaps even beyond. As bat mitzvah, I am responsible for the mitzvah of learning, and I will fulfill that mitzvah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has made us holy with your commandments and commanded us to be occupied with words of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamlamed Torah la'amha Yisrael. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who teaches Torah to your people Israel.
So as we prepare to remove the Sefer Torah, the Torah scroll from the ark, and pass it from one generation to the next, I invite to the bima to open the ark Sadie Lieb and Lily Grace Desmond, along with Julie and Jacob, who will share some words of blessing and then pass the Torah to Maxine. We're on page 363. Please stand.
שאו שערים ראשיכם ושאו פתחי עולם ועבור זה מלך הכבוד, אדוני צבאות, הוא מלך הכבוד, סלע.
So, Maxine, to the rabbi's immense relief, I'm going to use notes.
Yep.
At least a little bit. So traditionally, when parents stand here at this time, this is the time when we think, oh my God, my baby is all grown up. But you know, and we know, that you've been kind of a grown-up for a long time. Since you started raising your sister. In some ways, you were grown up when you were 4 years old. We've been proud of you every day of your life, and today is no exception. Your mother and I think every day how lucky we are to have such a remarkable young woman. We know that in a few minutes in your Devar Torah, you're going to talk about the importance of creating a legacy, telling your story to those that will follow you. We thought we'd also talk about claiming your legacy, knowing where you come from and who you are among the communities that you belong to.
Although not every single person in your life is here, all of your communities are here. Your family, your friends from school, your friends from preschool. Pretty much most of our very favorite people in the world are in this room here to support you. I want you to take a moment to just look around and appreciate how many people have come out to support you and who love you.
So one of the things that I admire most about you is that you, among all the people I know, you know who you are. But we thought we'd share a little bit, in particular, about what legacies you claim today from each of your 4 grandparents.
From your Grammy, my mom, you understand and care about the needs of people around you. And you're also very grounded. You're practical, and you don't need a lot of fuss, although a little fuss, like a pair of sparkly jelly shoes or some cool purple Vans every once in a while aren't going to hurt anyone.
From your Grampy, you're loyal. You care deeply about family. You're friendly. You like to talk to people, and I don't think you get that from me. Let's just say you'd rather keep $1 than spend $1.
From your grandma, Estelle, your sense of responsibility. We've watched you prepare for this day for months, and never complaining, just knowing what needs to be done and taking care of it. And also your forthright way that you have. You know what's important to you, and you're not afraid of speaking your mind, and that reminds us of your grandma.
And last but not least, from your papa, under this Ner Tamid. Your papa loved you enough in 2 years to last you your life. From him, you get the twinkle in your eye and your sense of mischief. And you get, but more than that, your sense of justice. And the knowledge that he had that injustice is not something you tolerate. It's something you take as a challenge that you stand up to, that you fight against. Also from your papa, your humility. Just kidding. We love you so much. We're so proud of you. Mazel tov.
So Maxine and I will take this special Sefer Torah and pass it. The arms of your parents will then pass them to your arms. Okay. This one, that side. Okay. Got it?
כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד אחד אלוהינו גדול אדוננו גדול שמו גדלו לאדוני איתי ונרוממה שמו יחדיו לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד כי כל בשמיים ובארץ כי כל בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני הממלכה והמתעשה לכל ראש ישראל ישראל ואורייתא חד הוא ישראל ישראל ואורייתא אורה 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 הללויה אורה 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 הללויה הללויה תורה אורה תורה אורה הללויה תורה אורה תורה אורה הללויה ישראל ישראל ואורייתא חד הוא ישראל ישראל ואורייתא חד הוא תורה תורה הללויה תורה הללויה 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 תורה תורה
Lo mekom zera, utena vegefen, verimon umayim ayin lishtot. The Israelites arrived in a body of water at the wilderness of Zin on the first new moon, and the people stayed at Kadesh. Miriam died there and was buried there. The community was without water, and they joined against Moses and Aaron. The people quarreled with Moses, saying, "If only we had perished when our brothers perished at the instance of the Eternal. Why have you brought Adonai's congregation into this wilderness for us and our beasts to die here? Why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place, a place with no grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? There is not even water to drink."
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nota b'solkenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Kiss the kid. Kiss the rabbi. Kiss the cantor. And stay right here. There you go. For the second aliyah, Maxine would like to invite up some really proud aunts and uncles and cousins. Amy Noble, Leah and Alana Noble, Adam Lieb, and Rebecca Wasserman Lieb. Yamdu, Simcha Chaviva bat Harav David Shmuel v'Miriam, Rivka bat Shet v'Simcha, Michaela bat Shet v'Simcha, Adam ben Harav David Shmuel v'Miriam, Shoshana bat Miriam v'Hillel, Aliyah l'Torah. Baruch Adonai Amorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Amorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
At this, Moses gets frustrated with the people, yells at them, and says, "Listen, you rebels, shall we get water for you out of this rock?" Then strikes the rock twice with his staff, and water comes forth, and the community drinks. However, here it gets a little trippy, because after God sees what Moses has done, God tells Moses, "Because you have not trusted me enough to affirm my sanctity in the sight of the Israelite people, you shall not lead them to the land that I have given them." And just like that, God sentences Moses to die in the wilderness and never fulfill his dreams of reaching the promised land. What did Moses do to deserve this fate? Countless rabbis over the centuries have tried to decipher the justification behind this seemingly over-harsh punishment. Some thought it was fair, others didn't. Some thought that Moses was punished because he stated, "Shall we get water for you out of this rock?" implying that he himself, or he and God, were performing the miracle, rather than just God. In doing this, he failed to show his faith in God and set a good example for the Israelite people. Others thought that Moses' sin was simply that he lost his cool with the people and struck the rock when he was explicitly told to speak to it. In doing this, he shows his lack of leaderly virtues. As a leader, he has to be endlessly patient, and he can't strut around acting impulsively and with impunity. But these are just two interpretations out of the many that have attempted to explain this episode. However, after Moses receives the consequences of his actions, he continues to lead the people until they are on the border of the Promised Land, where he will die just before the Israelites enter. Although he dies there, never getting to fulfill his dream of leading the people into the Promised Land, they still continue on. This is the lesson that the Torah is teaching us in this portion: legacy. One could look at this portion and think that Moses' story ended here, but it didn't. Even though he died on the border of the Promised Land, the community still continued on in his memory. Even though his personal goal of reaching the Promised Land was never met, the people still got there. This has happened many times throughout the course of history, such as Martin Luther King Jr., the voice of the civil rights movement, who died before the dreams that he spoke of in his "I Have a Dream" speech were fulfilled. As was said in the recent musical Hamilton, in which legacy is a topic that is often discussed, legacy, what is a legacy? Planting seeds in a garden you will never get to see? This is exactly what Moses does. He plants the seeds for the community. He opens the gates, however you want to put it. He set the foundation for the future of the Israelite people. Whether or not his punishment was justified, it doesn't really matter, which is another lesson that the Torah teaches us. Not every leader, or anyone for that matter, gets to fulfill their dreams, and it's important that we understand that. This doesn't mean that we should all look at life cynically, but that we should look at the bigger picture. What's important is that Moses, as a leader, flawed and imperfect as he is, got the people to the Promised Land. Had he known in the moment that what he was doing would cause him to spend the rest of his days wandering in the desert, maybe he wouldn't have made the decisions that he did. But the Israelite people made it to the Promised Land. And even though their troubles were long from over, that's what matters. As I become bat mitzvah today and a part of the adult Jewish community, I think about what I would like to be remembered for. 50, 60, 70 years from now, who knows what that may be. But as I stand here today, I know that to have made a difference and to have my legacy inspire others to follow suit is the best thing I can do. To have made the world even just a little bit better. And this is the lesson that I and the Torah leave with you today. Make a difference. Make the world a little bit better. And most of all, leave a legacy behind. And know that a community is stronger than any individual alone. Even if you don't make it to the Promised Land, the people will. And at the end of the day, that is what is truly important. Please join me in singing Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Nicely done.
Thank you.
So as we prepare to return the Sefer Torah to the Ark, I'll have an opportunity to share a few words of blessing with Maxine. I invite you to please stand if you are able. Turn to page 374. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai ki nishgav shemo levado. Let us praise the name of Adonai, for God's name alone is exalted.
Hodo al eretz v'shamayim vayarem keren le'amo tehillah lechol chasidav livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
So Maxine, although I have watched you grow up in this congregation, oftentimes coming here on the high holidays and sporadically throughout the course of a year, it wasn't until the last couple of years that you actually began coming to our Torah school and became a regular presence week in, week out here at our Torah school. And we know that making the drive all the way from Highland Park, right? Eagle Rock, sorry. I always get those communities up there confused up there. A million times. And you know what? And guess what? It just never makes it. Eagle Rock, yes. We know that making it from Eagle Rock down here is not easy, but it shows a tremendous commitment from you, from your parents. In fact, what your parents had said to me when they started bringing you and your sister here for Torah school was that they could not imagine you becoming bat mitzvah anyplace else but here on this bima, which they became, or your dad and your aunt and uncle became bar and bat mitzvah, and on this bima in which your papa presided for 34 years and was such an integral part. And as your dad said before, he is with us very much right now, and I know how much he would very much like to be offering and sharing this blessing as well. You speak about legacy, and you kind of projected 50, 60, 70 years, and who knows who will write your history, but hopefully it will be an extraordinary history that will be written about you. In our Torah portion that you shared today, a lot of things happen, and it begins with the death of Miriam, this strong and impressive woman who in many ways was really responsible for nourishing the Israelites throughout that part of the journey. That said that wherever she went, the wells of water followed her as well. And with her death, they were thirsty. I hope that, Maxine, in your life, as you lead and forge your path of leadership, that you will find nourishment to nourish yourself and your soul, and you will also nourish others with your very presence, with your big personality, with your exuberance, with your great way of being kind and loving and mischievous as well, that you will share all of those gifts. Another element in this Torah portion as well was the way that Moses used his mateh, that he used his staff. Earlier on, he used the staff to help part the seas. Here he uses the staff to beat the rock. And you see, and that staff is a symbol of his leadership. And as you lead and forge your legacy, you can either raise your arms open and help bring people in, or you can use it to beat others down. I trust that you are going to use it in the former way, to help bring people in, to help lead people through wherever they need to go, and to not use it as a weapon, but to use it as just a way of gathering and bringing in. So Maxine, you are right that nobody knows where life will take you. But I have a pretty strong suspicion that your life will take you to some very, very extraordinary places, whether as a great artist or a great writer or a great activist or whatever you choose to be. that there will be great things written about you and this legacy that you have begun to forge here at Temple Bethel, at your spiritual home and the home of your family for 2 generations, now 3 generations, that it will continue to be a very, very bright and auspicious legacy that you begin to create. So I want to share a blessing with you, the blessing of Birkat Kohanim. It was right from this Torah, from a few weeks ago in the Torah portion of Naso. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Ken Yiratzon.
May God bless you and keep you. Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
Ken Yiratzon.
May God's face shine brightly upon you and be very good to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Ken Yiratzon.
May God reach out to you with the gifts of love, of joy, of justice, a little bit of mischief, and above all, the gift of peace. Amen.
Amen. It's Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomcheha meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu kekedem.
Please be seated.
So Maxine, oftentimes a statement has been made that when somebody speaks and teaches and guides us in such an eloquent and beautiful way, someone might say, Hoch mir a Rebbe, I hear a rabbi. Because I know you so well, I'm going to say, Hoch mir a Rebbe? Do I hear a rabbi? Because I think it might be something you haven't necessarily thought about in your life. But it might be something I hope you will. Because you see, Maxine, before you were born, when your mom and dad got married, all of us who knew them then knew who you would be. Knew that you would be this incredible blending of intellect and this incredible heart and this amazingly mischievous granddaughter of your papa. And often, you can ask your dad, I've looked at him and I've said, oh, someone is laughing. Because when that mischief comes out and that twinkle in your eye happens, I know exactly who's laughing. You spoke about legacy today, Maxine, and truly, I remember the walk on the beach a couple of years ago with your dad when he turned to me and said, is there a way? I want my daughter to become bat mitzvah at Temple Bethel. To which I quickly responded, of course there is, let's figure it out. Because Maxine, what you did today and where you did it from is exactly what you have been meant to do and where you have been meant to do it from. Surrounded by this community, this place that watched your daddy grow up, this place that has celebrated with your family and has mourned with your family, this place that has always been surrounding you in love, even if you weren't present. Because that's the place that is home. That is home for you, home for God, and home for all of us. You have given us such a gift and such a blessing today by becoming bat mitzvah in this Beit El, this house of God. And so it's my honor to give you this gift and this blessing in much the way that I gave a blessing and a gift to your cousins when they became bat mitzvah several years ago now. We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Ledor vador nagid godlecha. Ledor vador, you protect this chain. From generation to generation, Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of God's way. And the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Ledor vador nagid godlecha. Ledor vador, you protect this chain. From generation to generation, Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Mazal tov, and remember to always keep on teaching your Torah.
Representing our board of directors on the bima this Shabbat has been Bunky Victor. I'd like to invite him to present a few gifts to Maxine. Also want to invite Sharon Gross, who is representing Sisterhood, to present the right now, Kiddush Cup, yeah. Also Rachel Fisher, who is our youth group advisor, to share a gift from Speedy. So Bunky first, Sharon, then Rachel. You first. All right. Do you have an order?
There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of swag here. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Max, we need you here too. Okay. It's like, you're getting the gift, so. Oh, very good. Thank you.
Maxine, it's just a pleasure. I've seen you since you were born. And it hits here. Anyway, this is a certificate that you did not get since you were not here when you graduated, I believe. And everything that's involved with that. From Nifty, we're giving a $250 gift certificate to be used. Usually the way they want you to.
Good in Israel, yeah.
And then this special
certificate
of
Bat Mitzvah.
Bar Mitzvah from the temple. the Machzor from the Board of Directors, which I represent. And then from the rabbi, tough questions which he answered very well. I want to thank you. That was a very well done.
Thank you. That was a good question.
And then from
The Federation.
the Federation, Israel Matters, and we want to thank you for being part of our family.
Maxine, I can't tell you how honored I am to present this from our sisterhood. Sisterhood who your grandma Estelle worked tirelessly for years. And it's very meaningful. And I hope you use it on Shabbat. I'm going to put it down because I'm afraid to spill it.
Thank you.
I'm very emotional. I am. I have a very long relationship with your family, and I'll tell you when it began, because I don't know if you know this, but when my son Michael was 2 years old, I put together a play group, and your dad was in it. And I changed his diapers. I knew you wouldn't like that, but it's true. And a few years later, when we joined Temple Bethel, your papa was David Samuel Leave was the rabbi. And a couple years later, he started the first Anshe Mitzvah class, which was an adult class for people who had not had the opportunity to become bar or bat mitzvah, which I had not, because I kind of came from an Orthodox family, and when I asked to go to Hebrew school like my boy cousins, my mother told me, "You don't need to go, you're a girl." Yes, so I'm so glad that generations have changed and that you could be standing here on the bima reading Torah, and you read beautifully and your interpretation was so intelligent. I just know, I can't help the whole time I look at you, I look at your father, I look at your uncle, and I see your papa. And it's hard not to when you're in this room. And I don't know if you believe in this, but I have a feeling he's floating around somewhere. I have this feeling that he's here with us. I don't know where you're hiding, David, but I know you're here, and you saw your granddaughter read Torah, and he couldn't be prouder. You have his intelligence, his sense of humor, and far better voice than he had. And, I became bat mitzvah because I studied with your papa for a year, and I became bat mitzvah on this very bima, except it was higher then. But it was the same bima, and I'm just so emotional and so honored to be here to congratulate you and wish you the best. And yeah, I think you would make a great rabbi, you're right. So we love you and we love your family. Mazel tov.
On behalf of Speedy, our Temple Youth Group, which is part of NIFTY, the National Federation of Temple Youth, I'm here to present you with a charm. When you go to your first NIFTY convention, you will receive a necklace, or I should say a kala, because that's what the weekends are that we have in Malibu. And each one you attend, they give you a bead. But from here at Temple, we give you a charm because it's something special that we do. It's part of our group. It makes us special. We already know that you're special. You've been part of Yaldei Shalom this year, and it's really been fun to do things with you and be your substitute teacher for a day and a half, only half a day because I sent her off to the youth committee. She was really good at that, and I'm very proud to be here today. Mazel tov.
I would like to thank the following for their gifts, their help, and their support. The Temple of Bethel Sisterhood for the Kiddush Cup that I just got. The Board of Directors for the Bat Mitzvah Certificate and the High Holy Days Prayer Book. The North American Federation of Temple Youth for the $250 certificate for a trip to Israel after my confirmation year. The Los Angeles Jewish Federation for the book Israel Matters. Rabbi Briskin for the book Tough Questions Jews Ask, and for his invaluable input on my Devar Torah and always telling me nicely when I made up a word. Cantor Davidson for being endlessly patient while I continuously procrastinated on my Haftarah portion and always being so smiley and helpful. Debbie Rowe for always giving the best hugs on the way into Torah school and always making me feel at home at Temple Bethel. My mother and father for putting up with my stress and stubbornness. Sadie for laughing it off and not fully comprehending that she's going to have to do this someday too. Grandma Estelle for the beautiful tallest and for being the best grandma anyone could ask for. My friends from school for coming all this way and for listening to me complain about all the work that I had to do for a very long time. Everyone, family, and friends who have traveled far and wide to celebrate this special day with me. It means so much to me that you all came. Endless thanks to you all.
Maxine, thank you for teaching us Torah, for chanting Torah so beautifully, leading us in really exquisite worship this morning. It's just it's been a great joy to celebrate Shabbat with you and with your friends and family, and we're just very grateful for having had this opportunity, and for you and your family making it possible for us. Just a couple of announcements before we begin to conclude our service. At the end of our concluding song of Oseh Shalom, we'll remain here in the sanctuary for Kiddush and Motzi, blessing over the wine and bread. At that point, I'd like to invite any Torah school student who is here today, and also any of Maxine's cousins or little cousins who are here today as well, little ones like under the age of 13 who can come up and help say Kiddush and Motzi with us as well. After that, we're invited to go into Al Manuel Hall for a festive Kiddush luncheon where you'll be able to greet Maxine and the family afterwards and just wish them Mazel Tov. Our concluding prayers begin on page 586 with Aleinu. Please stand if you're able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
On page 595. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. As we prepare to say Kaddish Tome, the mourner's Kaddish on page 598, we certainly remember Maxine's papa, Rabbi David Samuel Lieb. We also want to invite anyone who is observing the first 7 or 30 days of mourning or an anniversary of the death of a loved one to share a name out loud. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may the memory of all of our righteous ones be for blessing. We join together, page 598.
ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say Amen.
Amen.
Put your prayer books down and reach out to one another as we conclude with Oseh Shalom.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Shabbat shalom and mazel tov.
Maxine needs some company.
So proud of you.
Carrie, what happened to your kids? Come on, Eli and Sadie and any
Eli.
of the cousins under 13, come on up. Get a hug. Come on, Eli, you got to represent. Thank you. What happened to Cole and Peyton?
Oh.
What happened to Cole and Peyton? There you go. Hey, Maxine, I want to hear. Okay, front and center. Yeah, please do.
על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו עברי לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן לחיים.
Hold the challah. Okay. Got the challah. Touch the challah.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. שבת שלום.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Mazel tov.
You're next.
It's exciting.